What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sip Off, where we have drinks and we talk all things basketball. We have a jam-packed show for you tonight. Tons of NBA news, tons of NCAA news. Coaches are getting fired left and right, so tons to talk about. But first, let me go ahead and get one of my guests on. We got Steve Shawanda. What's up, Steve?
Hostess with the mostest. How you doing, Megan?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just watching a little bit. My Red Wings are up 3-0 right now, and of course, watching the biggest game of the college basketball season so far. Number one, South Carolina at LSU. So yeah, Kim Mulkey with the walking billboard jacket with Coca-Cola on it.
I'm not too surprised by that because they do it on the NBA jerseys. Like, I hate that they say there's a brand on there. I hate it.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. You want to pay me like 7 figures or even six? Hell, you want to pay me $20 to wear your logo on my
right?
I don't care.
Right. All right. We also have Joseph Jenkins. What's up, JJ?
What's going on, honey? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How's your week?
I'm ready. Is it over? God damn.
Almost. It's almost over. It's Friday Eve.
I have to work on Saturday though.
Oh, okay.
It's whatever. It's whatever.
It's whatever. Okay. All right. We also got Coach Dante. What's up, Coach?
What's good?
How's your week going?
Oh, it's going awesome. It's going great.
Awesome. All right. And our last guest, we got Will Vogel as well. It's been a while, Will. Hey.
Hey, two things. Number one, JJ, don't complain about working Saturday because I work retail, so I work Saturday and Sundays. So don't complain. Number two, but it should have been number one. Why can't the Hornets coach be fired? I can't stand Steve Clifford.
And this is his second tenure with y'all?
And I can't stand him.
Hey.
I'm not saying he's the reason we stink, but you know what? I never liked him his first tenure, and I don't like him his second tenure. So,
I mean, I'll say I don't feel like he's somebody that loses games for you, but I don't think he's anybody that wins you games either. So, it just kind of blah.
Yeah. The best word to describe him is my favorite word in the English dictionary. Meh. M-E-H.
Okay. All right. Well, first off, what's everybody drinking tonight if you are partaking?
My staple.
Go ahead.
My staple, Willer Light.
Okay. Joseph, what you got?
My Ciroc.
Oh, nice. In a Subway cup?
In a Subway cup.
Okay. All right, Steve, what are you drinking?
I do have a little Henny in the cup right here. I do, of course, if you've known the show, I do have a Jaeger bomb waiting here just in case I need it. But because Willer is on the show, I did grab a Willer Light too, just for funsies. So.
All right. Well, I'm just having a pretty simple red blend, but cheers, and then we will get underway. What's up, Keem? All right, so let's start off. We actually had some news happen in the last hour, so I want to go over this first because it wasn't on the rundown. We had our all-star starters announced. So in the Western Conference at point guard, you got Luka. At shooting guard, you got SGA. At small forward, you got Braun. At power forward, you got Kevin Durant. And then at center, you got Jokic. For the East, you have Tyrese Halliburton, point guard, Damian Lillard, shooting guard. How the hell is he a starter? Small forward, Jason Tatum, power forward, Giannis, and then center, Joel Embiid. And then also, since 2014, this is the first time a healthy Steph Curry will not be a starter in the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So let's talk about this real quick, just some reactions real quick.
I don't know. I kind of think Anthony Edwards should have took over LeBron at the small forward position. And I of course, in the Dame position as well. That could have went to Brunson. Could have went to a couple other guys. Donovan.
Okay.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I'm going to agree with JJ. As much as I love Dame Lillard, I don't think he's a starter this year. I think he definitely is a reserve. it should have been Brunson because Brunson is leading the charge for the Knicks. Other than that, I have no real issues. You got SGA, who has the most 30-point games in the league. You got Luka, who's one of my favorite players in the league. You got LeBron, who's broke the record for most All-Star game appearances. You got KD, who's, KD, good on offense and defense. Jokic, 2-time MVP. Embiid, MVP. Giannis, Finals MVP. MVP. I still hear an echo.
Okay.
But for the most part, no complaints. Just one complaint.
Okay. Coach Dante, what do you think about it?
Anthony Edwards has played great for the Minnesota Timberwolves ever since he upped in his game. Probably like their second year, he has elevated that Minnesota Timberwolves team, and they have been consistent ever since. I'm not fully sold on them how far they get in the playoffs, but Anthony Edwards definitely played like a starter this year. LeBron James, still LeBron James, even though he's like 30, 39, 37, 38 years old. He's still being productive. But Anthony Edwards, you can make an argument, but it's LeBron James. It's LeBron James. He's definitely going to be a reserve. And Jalen Brunson probably should have got the nod over Damian Lillard. So Jalen Brunson, ever since he got with the New York Knicks, man, he's just been on a tear. Or Donovan Mitchell. But I say no complaints other than that. But I think the West is okay. I'm okay with the West. It should have been at least one. Everybody should agree. It should just be one change in the Eastern Conference, and that's either Jalen Brunson or Donovan Mitchell. That's pretty much.
Okay. All right, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. It's a popularity contest. Obviously, it's not.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
The Timberwolves are the 2nd seed. The Lakers are the 9th. Anthony Edwards should be starting over LeBron. Period.
Right.
But we all know he's not going to. It's a popularity contest. Dame Lillard should not be starting over Brunson, and probably,
Matches.
Yeah, he has probably a better case too. But we know that's probably not going to happen. Obviously, they're going to be all-stars. They're going to be in the game. Thank God they went back to East and West.
Right, yeah.
Let them have. That's the biggest. I don't want to sound like old man get off my lawn, but that's the biggest difference between the NBA now and when I grew up is the East and West hated each other. You had you didn't. Boston and LA hated each other. You had rivalries. Now it's just oh well, I'll just pick this guy because he's my friend. No, we don't want that. We already know you're not going to play defense anyway. But at least if you have, as stupid as the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is at getting home field advantage in the playoffs, at least it's AL, NL for something, right? So, if they did East and West for home court in the NBA, where the home court gets 2-3-2, at least
agree.
Air out something, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. We also had some more news this morning. Wes over there for the Wizards got moved to the front office. Head coaching position is open at this moment. Joseph, talk to us about it. It's your team. It's in your name right there and everything. So we know you're happy.
Girl, let me tell you, y'all, I am so happy. Because I wasn't paying. I had a busy day at work today, and I came home, and then I do my sports bet, so I made a pick. But then I was like, wait a minute, who's this guy? Then I looked, I was like, Wes is gone. I said, Lord, thank you.
My goodness, you didn't know until you got off work today?
No, I didn't.
Wow. Okay.
But you can clearly see, even though they're losing, the defense at least trying. I was like, okay, let me find out. One person has to leave, and all of a sudden, y'all sitting here playing defense. But
right.
On the real, you have too much aspiring talent to let it go to waste from a coach that people are not listening to. And at the end of the day, if you really want to have any chance of having these guys become important pieces in your team, you needed to make a move. And so I'm pretty happy about it, you know?
Anybody else have thoughts about Wes, or you think Joseph covered it?
Nope, JJ killed it.
I think JJ covered it. That's his squad. I think he covered it.
All right, so let's talk about the other coach that got fired. Yesterday, Adrian Griffin was removed as the Bucks head coach with a 31 and 12, 31 and 13.
Yep.
31 and 12.
It's 30 and 13. 30 and 13.
Okay.
31 and 13 right now, but when we got fired, they was 30 13. They were 30.
Okay. Okay. So and they're sitting at the number 2 seed in the East. And shortly after, maybe a couple hours, they went ahead and extended an offer to Doc Rivers, and he accepted. What are our thoughts on this? Go ahead, Will.
I was shocked. I was a little bit shocked. A coach with a great record getting fired. I wonder if there's more to come out later on, like if there was a locker room issue or there was a coach player issue or a coach GM issue. But I was shocked. But you know what? Doc Rivers is a good coach. He's struggled recently, even though he last time he coached, he led the Sixers to 3 consecutive Eastern Conference semifinals. He also has a connection with the state of Wisconsin. He went to college at Marquette, which is in the same state as Milwaukee. He was just recently with ESPN as an analyst, and also he's used to coaching stars, so it could be a good fit.
Okay. Coach Dante?
It's just a prime example when the players not buying into what you do in your system, and you lose in the locker room with Bobby Portis and getting into it. That's as a first year head coach. That's a battle you're not going to win. That's a battle you're not going to win. So I think it was not only that I thought it was chemistry issues. Damian Lillard also came out and said that he struggled with the offense a little bit. He struggled getting in the flow of the offense, getting his rhythm and stuff like that. So anytime that comes out and that happens, it's a recipe for disaster, especially if those players are having issues with the head coach and not buying into what he does and what his system is and struggling in his system. I just think Adrian Griffin for that type of team and him being a first-year head coach, I just thought it was a bad match. I just didn't think it fit right with the Milwaukee Bucks wanted to do. I thought Milwaukee need more of a veteran to coach that team, like probably a Doc Rivers. I think he fits more better with a younger squad. So I think most of it is on the players because they don't play any defense at all. They weren't guarding anybody, especially with Damian Lillard. That's a huge drop off from Drew Holiday, but they weren't guarding anybody. And again, they did have one of the most easiest schedules in the NBA too. They did have one of the most easiest schedules in the NBA, so that kind of helped them a lot. But I just felt like Adrian Griffin, he wasn't fit for this type of caliber championship, possibly contending team. I just thought he fit for more of a younger unit than anything. But when those players that already won championships in that locker room and know what it takes to win, when you get on their bad side, of course the management is gonna go with the players instead of him. So I believe this probably was the best shot. I believe this probably was the best for him and the team. Maybe he gets another coaching job with a younger organization. But hiring Doc Rivers is something for the Bucks, a coach that won a championship already. I think he fits right there with Milwaukee.
Okay. Joseph, what do you think?
I mean, he has been through a lot. I have been, I made my post about him and today, but then when you dig deeper in it, it's a lot to take on when you had suffered the loss. Like at the end of the day, I understand, I get it. Like I can honestly say I wouldn't give my all in my job if I had what I knew was going on with my family on my mind.
What happened? What happened with his family?
So from what I understand, that his grandchild was lost. He passed away as the season was about to start, from what I understand. And when you have that, it's really hard. Like it's really
I
hard.
can't imagine.
Yeah, so like I get it, and it's like I do agree with Coach here is that he gets a young team, he gets over this time period. They should have given him a chance to go off, like because you still had a coaching
Yes,
staff that
I agree.
exactly. They could have had a coaching staff that handled it for him, but they didn't give him that chance. Shout out to my boy Mike who was talking about the whole how they forced him out, but at the end of the day, I hope he gets another coaching job.
Right.
Shoot, I'd take him over here. Okay, you know what I mean? Like
I'd take him over here as well.
Someone like the Wizards, I believe he'll have a
give something different. Like give you a chance to have a challenge because he seems like he would like a challenge. Like he seems like he didn't know
what if they would have put Terry Scotts as the head coach and Adrian as the assistant, do you think he would have had a better chance to be successful there?
It's interesting because Terry hasn't coached in a long time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He hasn't coached in a long time, and the league he coached in is a little bit different from the leagues today. But at the same time, he's still around, and he's still been able to maintain. I mean, at the end of the day, off sheer talent, that team is going to be successful. Just off sheer talent. Like at the end of the day, if the guys buy in, then they're going to play to their strengths. And to be honest with you, a majority of the league, their strength is more than majority of the teams that are in this game. But if that coach could just keep them, engaged and buying in, yeah. But because with Adrian, unfortunately, their defense was bad. Like it was absolutely bad. And it just, you don't have the caliber of players on that squad. Yes, I know Dame is not that player, but you can scheme defenses to cover for his abilities. Boston does with Jason Tatum every single time, but we won't have that conversation. But yeah, that's really what it is. That's just, what it is.
Okay. All right, Steve, talk to us about this.
All right, let me try to put this as quickly as I can. Will said earlier about his coach doesn't, or actually you said after Will said it, is that his coach doesn't win him games. He doesn't lose them games, but he doesn't necessarily win him games.
Right.
So very quickly, this has something to do with that. This has something to do with Giannis is still the Bucks still want to keep him no matter what. They'll keep him happy no matter what. They'll do whatever he says no matter what. It's a player league, obviously, and not a coach's league. It's much easier to fire a coach than to get rid of 12 players. Sure. And the point that was made that I agree with the most, and I'll make it personal and I'll give an example. A young coach should not be in charge of a championship caliber veteran team. Okay. I can speak from firsthand, living in Michigan, being a Pistons fan. After having Rick Carlisle, Larry Brown, and Flip Saunders, the Pistons followed up with Michael Curry, a first-time coach. I'm sure I've never met. I'm sure Michael Curry is a great guy. I'm sure. Obviously, he played basketball. Obviously, he knows basketball. And he went 39-43 in 1 year, by the way. 39-43 his first year, 0-4 in the playoffs, and then got fired. The next coach after that went 57-107. The next coach after that went 54-94. My point is, be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. But number two is, yes, because that was the problem with Michael Curry. Michael Curry was hired to be the coach of Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace, and guys that he played with and against, and he was they were their peers. Like that's the thing about Flip and Larry and even Rick Carlisle. They were all good role players in their time, but that time was long since past. They were clearly the coach, especially Larry Brown, obviously, had the respect of those players. And you can't, I will go to my grave on this, and Nets can tell you this about Steve Nash. You cannot have a ready-to-win veteran championship team and put a first-year coach with them. It's not that. I mean, I've coached for over 20 years, obviously much lower levels than the NBA, middle school, high school, AAU, college, working with college teams, but it's still the same. You can't have
True
first year coach. Like I said it jokingly, but it was true. When Steve Nash got the Nets job, I had more head coaching experience than Steve Nash did. Like, and obviously he's a much better, obviously he was a much better player than me and all that stuff. But that doesn't mean he can coach basketball better than a 30-year high school coach. Like, he never coached before. Like, obviously they say, so it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes. Like, yeah, it's still about, or the Susans and the Joes, I don't know, whatever. I mean, yes, it's still about the players. Like, you need players,
right?
But you also need coaching. It still matters, and I think
y'all know that's one of my phrases. Coaching matters.
It does.
Steve's point, though. Steve's point, though. Look at Oklahoma City.
You're one of the best coaches of all time.
Right. Yeah.
To Steve's point, though, look at Oklahoma City and Orlando. Young coach.
Goddamn, look at my Houston Rockets. It's an improvement. It's an improvement. Even though we took that god awful ass loss last night to Portland, but we're still better than
y'all lost that game.
The coach that we had. Yeah, we lost that game. It was absolutely.
You know what?
We still better, way better. We still fight. We still better. We lost.
I like Steven Silas, but I will say this: Ime has had success both times. First year at an organization. First year he walked in over there at Boston, he was successful that very first year. So I mean, like, you can't take that from him. And what he's done also over there in Houston, like, you can't take that away from him either, because that locker room was running wild. It was running wild.
No doubt.
But I want to say this though. I believe Steven Silas is a good coach. I thoroughly believe Steven Silas is a good coach. He needs some more time. He needs to put in a little more work and pay his dues a little bit more before he's a head coach. But I see him working his way to that. And also what he was given at the time is not the team that he ended up with. When he signed on for that job, James Harden was a part of that team. Like, there was hope.
And I gave him a pass on that one. I gave him a pass actually that first year, because he had to come in and deal with a lot of crap with James Harden and PJ Tucker. He had to deal with all that stuff. So I gave him a pass on that first season. But the other three, I mean, when you're losing 20 games in a row,
he didn't have 3 seasons. Did he have 3 seasons?
Yeah, he had 3 seasons. Because the second year, the first year, I didn't credit. It was some on him, but I didn't give him I didn't give him all on that.
In a perfect world,
I think Steven Silas has been coaching in the league, assistant coach for 20 years. Like, with him, with a veteran team, I think it works more with a veteran team.
But personally,
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Personally, I think Houston is kind of like a 41-41 type of team. Just in the sense of it's the first time they're with him. And to Megan's point, he's going to get them together. Once they actually get his system and understand where everybody is and where they're going to go, then they'll be a little bit more better, because he got Jalen Green to play on a team-oriented offense and defense. That is an accomplishment in itself.
If the Rockets are 41-41 from where they were last year, he should be coach of the year. Like,
true that.
Like you said about where they started, where expectations. In a perfect world, you get a young coach with a young team. You have no expectations. Like, hey, we just got the 3rd pick. Like, let's move up in the lottery. Let's get some pieces. In 3 years, let's be in the play-in. In 4 years, let's win a playoff series, and you can all grow together. But don't make a rookie coach be like, oh yeah, you got a bunch of expiring contracts. We have to win now. Like, you're setting them up for failure, and then to say, oh, he's a bad like. I don't know if Adrian Griffin's a bad coach.
I don't know that either.
I don't think he is. Truly, I don't think he is. But I don't know. Most coaches would take 30 wins out of every 42. Like, it was right. It was 30 and 12 at the time, right? Or was it?
Right. Yeah. No, it was 13.
Yeah. Hey, if you're going to win 30 out of 40 if you're going to win 30 out of 42 games, oh, guess what? You're going to be 59 and you know.
Right.
It's just kind of like, you know what this
58
remind me of, though? You kind of know what this remind me of, Steve? This remind me of a certain coach, you know, that still haven't got an opportunity to be a head coach yet. You remember the Cleveland Cavaliers when they won a championship with Tyronn Lue? They were 31 and 11.
Yeah.
David Black gets fired and he never coached again. Never been a head coach. Now that's similar. That's this probably almost them in the same situation right
and
here.
Everybody always talks great about him, but he still never got a head. Yeah, never got a head coaching job.
Yep.
Interesting point. Good point. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the trade deadline. It is coming up this year. It's going to be before All-Star Weekend, February 8th, trade deadline. We saw Pascal Siakam end up being traded to Indiana. We talked about it in depth last week. This week, we saw Scary Terry get traded to the Miami Heat. And in return for Kyle Lowry and a first-round pick in 2027, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Miami came up big on this. So I'm pretty sure we all agree Miami won the trade.
Yep.
Just talk to me about your thoughts on this. And will you start us off because you're on one of the teams that are part of this?
Do you want me to talk about that and the upcoming? What do I expect also from the rest of it? As a Hornets fan, I was really upset. Kyle Lowry's a really good veteran, but Terry Rozier, firsthand watching Hornets games, that guy helps on the offense and defensive end. And he's really good buddies with LaMelo. So it kind of hurts because he was that guy to teach LaMelo a lot. Because once LaMelo got in the league, as we remember, Kemba was traded for Terry.
Right.
And everyone was like, who's going to be that piece to help LaMelo if we draft LaMelo to be that veteran piece to help along? Well, Terry's helped LaMelo grow into a good player, and he could score, he can defend. Terry's an all-around good player, and I'm going to miss him a lot. Don't get me wrong, Kyle Lowry's a great veteran piece, but Hornets, as you guys know, I'm a Hornets fan. We definitely lost this trade. Yes, we're getting a first-round pick in 2 years, but I really don't like us getting rid of Terry. I wish it was another guy like, I don't know.
Hayward,
Nick Richards. Nick Richards, or Caleb Martin, or whatever the Martin who's still with them.
And having to wait a couple
Caleb
of years.
Or Cody, one of those.
Y'all got a Plumlee over there still, or no?
No, we don't.
How many Plumlees are in the league?
We don't.
How many Plumlees are in the league still?
Megan, we don't have a Plumlee anymore, but I prefer to call him Bumlee.
Yes, I call them Bumleys also. All right.
But you said say what do I expect to happen the rest, right?
Yes.
Here's a few names to keep an eye out for to be moved. Kyle Kuzma has had his names floating around. I've recently heard Mavericks are interested. Bruce Brown, I've heard Lakers are interested. Malcolm Brogdon, I don't know what teams, but he is a good veteran guard. D'Angelo Russell, I've heard all year that the Lakers are going to move.
Right.
And then Megan's former favorite player on the Spurs, DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, I think I know the Lakers are very interested in him.
I know one thing about that. I know that the Hawks are either going to move on from Murray or Trae Young. If it was me, I would move on from Trae Young. And this is my opinion. People can disagree all they want. I'm a huge Luka fan. I was so pumped when Luka got drafted in the NBA draft. But don't get me wrong, I love Trae Young in college. I just think he's uncoachable. He shoots too much. I remember reading a box score once. He was like 1 for 13 from 3. The guy is so trigger happy. I'm not a Trae Young fan, so if I'm Atlanta, I would rather move Trae Young than DeJounte Murray.
I think DeJounte, and y'all know it hurt my feelings when we traded DeJounte. Like, I did not talk to people. I had to tell people, quit tagging me. I don't want to talk to none of y'all for about 24 hours. It broke my heart when DeJounte left. And that's not because he was the best player on the Spurs, but because I know how much potential he has and how much talent he has. Now, obviously, he's got to work on his scoring, his shooting. And if he was in San Antonio, we were working on it, because if y'all remember when we drafted Kawhi wasn't the best shooter either. And you can develop that. You can teach that.
Yep.
But his effort on the defensive end of things, his wingspan for being a smaller guard, his wingspan is huge. He's fast. He has a lot of heart for the game. And when he had his tear on his ACL, I knew he struggled the next season when he came back, but I just had a feeling he was gonna shoot forward, and he did. He played for us 2 more years, did really well that last year. He went to the All-Star game. He's very, very talented. It was very painful for me to lose him, but I agree. I think he has more levels to his game than what Trey has. Trey is a great shooter, but he's definitely not going to play defense.
Trey, one last thing. I know need to let others go. DeJounte Murray is good at numerous things, where, in my opinion, Trae Young is one-dimensional. It's just shooting.
I mean, and if you move DeJounte to LA, like, he can be exactly what they need, because they really need a true point guard. Just set up AD, set up Braun, and then have some. Who do they have playing the 2?
Right now it's DeJounte. You talking about like LA?
No, LA.
No. Who's playing the 2 in LA?
I think it's Austin Reeves, or is he on?
Yeah, but the rumor is, if the Lakers get DeJounte, they would have to move Russell and Reeves.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, they do have their rookie too, Cam Whitmore. So I mean, they have a few options over there.
Yeah, Whitmore plays for the Rockets.
Oh, he plays for the Rockets. Excuse me. Yeah. He was like, no.
Nope, wrong.
Well,
but
they have obviously they've been. Go ahead.
No, I was listening.
No. You can go ahead. I was basically done. Go ahead. Talk to us about it.
No, not at all. Like, trust me, I was kind of adding on to what you were saying. I think DeJounte gives both.
Sure.
DeJounte gives both of what D'Angelo and Austin give. Straight up.
Right. Are there any other trades that you guys are looking forward to seeing, or do you think there's a particular team that is looking for a piece, Coach Dante?
I think we need another shooter. The Rockets, we need another shooter. It's become clear as day we need someone else that can shoot the basketball. And DeJounte Murray is one of my favorite players. Him and Alexander are 2 of my favorite players that I like watching playing. I've been watching Murray since we used to play San Antonio, and he's James Harden a hell of a time. So
yes, he did.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite players. Him and SGA to even watch play. But I'm interested to see if the Pistons unload him. I'm interested to see if they do with Alec Burks and Bogey. And I think Charlotte. Look out for PJ Washington. I heard a lot about them. PJ Washington in Charlotte. He will be a good piece. Daniel Gafford also is being talked about a lot. I like him as a young rim protector as well. So
I'd hate to lose PJ. I'd hate to lose PJ, but whoever gets him is getting a solid.
Clint Capella. He's been talked about as well. He's been rumored for a reunition with the Houston Rockets as well, coming off the bench. He's been rumored to some teams like the Knicks. He's been rumored for quite a teams.
Okay, Steve, talk to us.
Yeah, I had to do a quick costume change since
I saw
messaged my team. Well, my Eastern Conference team.
Who are you wearing?
In my one. No, just a Ivy jersey. I switched from Quincy McCall to Ivy. Who, by the way, Will, did the Pistons win last night against someone? Was it the Hornets?
We play the Hornets, right?
You have our. You know what? I give you credit. You guys have our number the last few years.
Yeah, that's true.
In all seriousness, I actually think this is really big for the Pistons. And yeah, I'm biased because I've known him since he was a freshman in high school. But Monte Morris finally being back is exactly what that young, crazy, terrible team needs. Is a veteran point in 11 minutes last night. In 11 minutes, he had 7 3-and-3. In 11 minutes, he had 7.3 rebounds and 3 assists. So if you give him 25 minutes, do the math. Like,
right.
Again, very biased. He's one of the best backup point guards. I'm not going crazy. One of the best backup point guards in the league, if not the best backup point guard in the league when healthy, because he will not turn the ball over. He'll get everybody involved and he'll score some points.
Monte used to play for the Nuggets.
The Nuggets.
Yep. Okay.
Wizards.
He's the Morris that I don't. He's the Morris that I don't dislike.
Yes. He went to Flint Beecher High School, won some state championships there. Went to Iowa State.
Wait,
went to Denver. Then he went to Washington. Now is in Detroit. Was hurt all year. His first game back, and the Pistons win against someone's team. I forget who. Yeah, Will. But no.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
No problem, buddy. I saw some rumor today, which again, it's NBA trade. Just like the NBA draft, well, any draft, right? You get the rumors of so-and-so's high on so-and-so's list and blah, blah. The same thing with the trade deadline, obviously. But I saw something today about how Zach LaVine to the Pistons for
I saw that.
Yeah. And now for one of them, for any expiring contract, Bogovic, yeah, sure. But then it was like Cade, like him and Cade, or him and Thompson, or him and hell no. Like obviously the Pistons aren't doing anything this year, but you don't trade anybody on that roster under 21, right? Like trade all the expiring contracts, trade all the old people, but keep somebody intact, because I really believe that if they're healthy and they find a piece, they should be doing next year what the Rockets are doing this year. Contend for a playoff spot. Obviously, they're not going to be a championship contender, and they probably, who knows when they ever will be. But like at least contend, like not, lose 27 games in a row or whatever. Like at least contend. Like to me, Cade, Ivy, Duran, Thompson, those four are untradeable, Okay. And
so you're ready to move on from Killian?
Oh my God. The second after they drafted him, I was ready to move on from Killian Hayes.
No, I think he has potential, but
2 minutes before they drafted him, I was ready to move on from Killian Hayes. Yeah, not a Killian Hayes fan. And like Wiseman's good, but like I never, like we talked about this obviously a lot because I'm a Warriors fan too. Like I like Wiseman, but it didn't make any sense with Detroit because they already have the same exact freaking player. So, like he needs to go somewhere that they don't have a carbon copy of him. And they still have Stewart, who, yeah, he's not as long and as athletic as those two, but he's also a guy that, basically is a defender and rebounder and a pick and roll guy, and he can step out a little bit better than those two. But like, you only need, because you can't play two of those guys together. It just doesn't work in today's NBA. Maybe in 1994 you could just post them both up and cross screen, but like in today's NBA it doesn't work like that. So you have to fit your roster to better suit today's NBA. So
are you disappointed with, I mean, obviously it's disappointing losing that amount of games about halfway through the season, but I mean, when y'all got Monty, I know it felt like not your savior, but finally somebody with a little bit of experience, a good coach was going to come in. Coach. Like he's very likable. Do you feel disappointed?
His son is really good at basketball. Elijah is really good at basketball. He's a sophomore. He's like a top 10 player in the country. So it was great for the state of Michigan. First, I have a basketball website and recruiting service. So it was great for the state of Michigan. He's playing at Brother Roy. Oh, this is great stuff. Oh yeah, here we go. Right. And then they were 2-1, with that one being a 1-point loss, 103-102 to Miami. So they were 2-1 with a 1-point loss at Miami. And then the losing streak started. So that made it even worse. It's they even cheated us a little bit. Hey, maybe we're going to be okay. So obviously I didn't expect them to lose that many games. Obviously, again, and I don't expect Monty Williams to, walk on water and for the Pistons to be the 5th seed or something, but at least be semi-competitive this year. Yes, I did. And then quickly going, because I also love, because, Steph Curry and, Draymond I've known for a long time too. So the Warriors in the Western Conference, I feel like, I know earlier, a little bit ago, Mike Dunleavy Jr., first-year GM, God, we miss Bob Myers, said how everybody but Steph basically is on the trade block or will listen to calls or whatever.
Right.
Usually he should change that to anybody but Kuminga is on the trade block. And Steph, obviously Steph too. They're not going to trade Steph.
Right, yeah, they're not going to trade Steph.
They're not going to trade Steph. But you cannot trade Jonathan Kuminga.
Okay.
Unless well, actually no, nothing.
Right, Megan.
Actually, and I'll say I was wrong. I said on this show,
bring Steph home, by the way.
Combination of it, that Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman, and Poole would be Warriors. Would be the Warriors' next big four. I really believe that would be the next big four, and that Clay, Steph, Wiggins, and Draymond would bow out and pass it to Moody, Kuminga, Poole, and Wiseman. Obviously, that hasn't happened. 2 of them have already moved on. Kuminga wasn't happy allegedly. Hopefully, they start playing him more. Who knows? But it's very tough because I understand it's a business. You want to be competitive.
Right.
You want people to come to your arena and buy tickets and all that stuff. But you also don't want to risk your next 5 years just to be the 7th seed this year. So it's very, very difficult to what decision that you have to make. The Red Wings did it for years. Sorry, switching sports, but they tried to keep their playoff streak going, which they did for 21 straight years. The Red Wings were in the playoffs for 20.
I'm a Spurs fan. I get it.
And when they hit rock bottom, they hit effing rock bottom and had nothing and have been horrible since. Finally, this year, they're back in the playoff picture. They're being the wild card right now if the season stopped today. But, it took 6 years after mortgaging your future. And eventually, it catches up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get
Steve,
it.
Can we have him come home? Can we have Steph for free to come home?
No, I completely understand how that goes because, yes, I wanted to be competitive. I wanted to be in the playoffs. And so there was an aspect of being a fan that, I wanted to be there. The last time we were in the playoffs, DeMar DeRozan was playing for us. I think we had, was Paul with us? Paul Gasol was still with it? No, it was Jakob Poeltl. We had a couple of names. DeJounte was there. We had a couple of names. Derek White was there. And we played the Nuggets in the second round of the playoffs. That was the last time we were there, right? And we made it, was it 23 years in a row? But by doing that, we stayed out of the top 10 of the draft. We weren't able to invest in our future. Y'all know how I feel about it. I feel like I blame Kawhi, of course. And
always
Kawhi's fault. Who's that man?
What in doubt? Blame Kawhi.
That's correct. It's nice to be able to draft our future because obviously he is, Wemby is what it is. We need some pieces around him. I feel like as much as I like Keldon Johnson, because I like him a lot. He's an Olympian. I like him. He has a great personality, but on the court, he looks lost. the last 2 years he's looked lost. Like we had him playing power forward when he's too small for that. He needs to play small forward. But we didn't have anybody in that position that was good enough to play, so we had to slide him to that position. Then we finally move him back to small forward, and he still looks lost. But I will say this, basically everybody but Devin looks lost. So he's not the only one.
Guys
Anybody
playing out of
but
position.
Wimby.
Yeah, guys
Anybody
playing
but
out of
Wimby.
position and getting bad habits, right? Like
You said what?
guys playing out of position and then getting bad habits because of that.
Yes, because no, and I do, because I think Keldon is talented, but like you said, playing out of position has created bad habits, and so he looks lost. I'm not sure what's going on. All I can say is, I feel like Pop has a plan. Obviously, it might be for another high draft pick, and everybody but Devin can go. Devin and Wimby.
Do you like
I got something I want to say. I like to personally thank Wimbyama for the smile when he found out that he wasn't coming to us on draft night. I would like to personally thank him for that, because I was one of the guys that didn't want Victor because of the potential of my center that should be in reserve the way he's playing right now in Alperon Şengün. So I would like to personally thank Victor for the smile that he didn't want to come, and I'm glad he ain't with you. I like Victor, but I just want to thank him for the smile, though.
Alperon is playing.
This is not a good look.
Alperon is playing. He's playing his butt off.
I think
you
should be in reserve.
I think it worked out good, and even though, San Antonio is struggling, I don't know that I expected him to be this bad, but I didn't expect him to be good.
Well, I didn't want Victor because he wasn't a great player. I think he's going to be a great player as long as the guys stay healthy in the league. I think Victor is going to be a great player. I just didn't want him in Houston because I knew how much potential Alperon Şengün had, and we just drafted him no more than a year ago. So I didn't want him in the same lineup with Alperon, someone that needs another person that needs the ball inside. Alperon is very good playmaker, and he has busted every center almost that he played against. So, and he's a big part of our offense. He was basically what Ime Udoka basically run the offense through him, and I think that's a good thing.
Yep.
That's a good thing basically for what we do right now.
Okay.
Baby Jokic.
All right, so we're going to slide over to our NCAA topics. We're going to keep it kind of quick on these because we did talk a bunch of NBA tonight. Let's talk best matchups of the week. Obviously, we're probably all watching one right now as we're doing the show as well between LSU and South Carolina. And then also either talk about your team or talk about the biggest upsets of the week. It's kind of your choice, whatever you want to talk about, but keep it NCAA. Will.
I'm gonna go best matchups, one women's, one men's, and then I'll just bring up my men's team because I forget my women's schedule. I didn't really look at it. I've been busy with work, unfortunately. Other than this game tonight, I'm biased. I think the best matchup for women's, I'm biased, like I said, is number 8 UConn versus number 15 Notre Dame.
Okay. Yeah, no, that is.
As you guys know, I'm a Paige Beckers and a UConn fan. For the men, on the men's side, you know what? It was hard to pick. There was Clemson versus number 12 Duke. There was number 7 Kansas against number 23 Iowa State. But shout out to my girl Megan. I'm going with. Actually, sorry, I read that wrong. My bad. I think this is the best match. You know what? Sorry, I completely whiffed that.
No, you're fine.
I think the best matchup is Clemson, who is 13-5 versus number 12 Duke. Because Clemson is a good team that is not ranked on the men's side.
Okay. I like it.
As for my Tar Heels men, we got to play Florida State on this weekend. Then we're playing, I think, Clemson, if I'm not wrong, and then next Saturday we play Duke. Okay. So two big games back to back, Clemson and Duke.
All right, Coach Dante.
I want to talk about the Big 12. Big 12 potentially
I know it.
may have 11 teams in the tournament. If you look at the way the Big 12 is going right now, they may potentially have 11, 12 teams in the tournament. That's how
14 teams.
Yes. And that's how every night it's a dog fight in the Big 12. Every night it's a dog fight. You look at our Longhorns, we lost to probably out of the bottom two teams, West Virginia, in West Virginia, when they were pretty poorly. We lost to them, but then we come back and we beat Baylor.
Right.
West Virginia also got another top tier win as well. So when conference play starts, it just shows you how tough it is. You got to bring your game every single night. So I'm just saying, y'all everybody look out for the Big 12, man. The Big 12 is going to be deep in the NCAA tournament. In Pittsburgh, man, getting a win on the road, man, versus Duke.
Right.
That was a very good play. That was a very good. And Pittsburgh was in the NCAA tournament last year and had a good showing. Even though they did lose in the second round to Xavier. I believe they lost in the second round to Xavier last year. So they did had a good run when they was in the tournament, and then to go on the road when they were struggling and beat after they got dominated by North Carolina. They went into a tougher environment in Duke and beat Duke. And I really like what Pittsburgh doing. And they got one of them guys that I watch personally, Jalen Lowe. He's a freshman. He's a freshman on that squad. That's really good lefty. And that's pretty much my upset of the week. Pittsburgh coming in the game, not in good shape. Not a very good team at that time. They go in Duke and beat Duke, especially going down to beat Duke on pretty much in a close game. That's pretty good. But I just want to chop on the Big 12 because potentially they may have 11 teams in the tournament.
Very good. Joseph?
Shout out to you guys talking about the Big 12. Well,
they killing it.
They really are. I got to give them credit, especially to Texas, Colorado, Kansas State, all of them. Maryland, it's just not there. It's just not there. I honestly think Brenda's on her way out, but I will say, things are changing in the college landscape. You're not bringing what you need in terms of NIL deals or just the enticement of coming to a program. It's just not the same. They were 12-7. But in terms of this week, I'm looking forward to that UConn Notre Dame game because I remember so many different actual matchups in the NCAA tournament between these two teams. And it's like, Paige is still trying to let people know she's still around. And of course, you have tonight's game with LSU and South Carolina. But when you look at that game, I'm like, I understand LSU is who they are, but South Carolina just looks like they are back to what they were doing before.
They are not winning this game right now, though. I can tell you that. Now, Steve, you probably been watching.
Oh, I'm watching the game too.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm watching the game.
I'm watching it right now.
Girl,
okay, so
we locked in. We locked in, okay?
Oh, yeah, it's basketball. It's basketball.
It is. For me personally, the loss last night for the Texas ladies was so painful. Losing to an unranked OU. Now I'm sure we drop in the rankings, but I don't think we drop out of the top 20. But it is going to affect us. I expect us to be at probably 15. An unranked team like that, OU really doesn't have any names right now on their women's squad. Now their men's squad is good. But for their women's squad, they don't have a ton of names. To lose to them, that hurts. But we all know what that rivalry is. And at the end of the day, it's still hook 'em. So, Steve, talk to us about the biggest upsets this week and a little bit about the SC game as well.
Oh, God. Yeah, so real quick, obviously LSU's up 4 going into the 4th. I guess I'm sure I can say that without getting fined or whatever.
You're fine.
Score, yeah. Wouldn't even say the score or any play-by-play, but yeah, LSU's up 4 going into the 4th. And just for Willer, to his point, Notre Dame at UConn at 8:00 on Saturday night is on Fox. Not whatever, not some SNY or whatever that Connecticut station is. That's a Fox game, not FS1. That's Fox. So let's
I get off at 6 at work.
Again, we have a waste.
before we jump into that a little bit, I want to talk about one other upset because it involves one of the teams that y'all are talking about. Y'all know the Syracuse ladies upset the Notre Dame ladies today, 79-65. Now, Syracuse.
My girl.
Yes.
My girl, the Syracuse coach used to be at Buffalo.
Oh, I love their coach. Jen turned me on to her.
Seriously, she is absolutely awesome. Our old coach at CMU, Sue Guevara, was very close friends with her. And, through that, I don't know her, but like through that, like we follow each other on Twitter, and she's liked some of my posts and comments on some of my posts. And I've talked to her a few times, and no, she is amazing. Mm-hmm. Effing love her. And that guard, I've known about for 3 years.
Daisha Fair. Now, not to take anything away from Hannah.
Yeah, because Hannah was at Buffalo, and she went to Syracuse with Felicia, with her coach, and they ain't playing like
right. Yeah, for sure. And they also play. Do they play UConn also this week? Is that what it? Syracuse had 2 ranked games coming up. Hold on.
It might be this week too. I don't think it's this week.
No, Virginia Tech. They play Virginia Tech on Sunday. So for me, the most games that I was looking forward to were the 2 Syracuse games because they finally cracked into the top 25, and I wanted to see how they
looked. Tech at noon. Yeah, at home. Yeah, at Notre Dame at home. Yeah. Deshaun. Yeah, Fair is. Yeah, I've known Deshaun Fair. I've known her. I don't know her. I've had to watch her play for far too long, and she's that girl. Which interesting is they do. Wait, do they play? I don't think they do.
They play Virginia Tech at home, or they're at home for Syracuse is at home, but they play
Virginia Tech. Yeah, and even at Louisville's not what they used to be, but that game February 1st should be semi decent. But
that's 3 ranked opponents back to back. I was curious to see how they handled that.
And then Thursday, February. I'm looking at their schedule now. I'm sorry. Thursday, February 29th at NC State. So like if everything, if they keep rolling, woohoo! Watch out for that game. That will be.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good one too.
That will be nuts. But that's a crazy game right there.
Go ahead, Maggie.
All right. Well, let's talk about our last topic. We saw one of the most legendary coaches get the biggest record of all time. Tara Vanderveer took the most wins of all time. She passed Coach K's record at 1,202. She reached 1,203 against Oregon State without Cameron Brink. One number that I wanted to talk about was we're all talking about the 1,203, right? But her loss is 216. That means that she's been winning at 83% over her 45-year career, 38 years at Stanford. I don't know how more legendary or iconic you get than that.
You can't. Like, yes, you got Pat Summitt, Gene Auriemma, and Don
has 3 rings
now. But you know what? Nothing holds comparison to her.
Okay. Any other thoughts on Tara?
I will tell you, I think a few of the most, I mean, obviously we can go through all of those, obviously 1,203 wins,
Right.
She's 70 now. She was hired as a head coach at 24.
That's crazy.
She was a college head coach at 24, 78, 80 at Idaho, 80, 85 at Ohio State, Idaho, 85 at Ohio State. Then obviously, 85 to present at Stanford.
Yeah.
Minus, of course, the wonderful 95-96 season where she was the Team USA coach of probably the best women's basketball team ever assembled.
Right.
Went 60-0 and won the gold medal.
Has she won a natty?
Yeah. She's won 3 natties. Which actually the most impressive stat of that is she won natties in 90, 92, and 21. So talk about, longevity and reinventing yourself and, finding your, core with the current player. Like that's obviously very impressive. But like, 38 years at Stanford, like you think of her at Stanford. She was a 2-time Big Ten Coach of the Year at Ohio State. Like most coaches would kill to be a 2-time Big Ten Coach of the Year. Like she was that just like ho hum in her early, probably late 20s, early 30s at Ohio State before she went to Stanford. Like even if you take away her Stanford career, she still had a good coaching career.
Right. One last thing.
That's how insane it is.
One last thing is, I wonder how many WNBA players she's produced.
Oh God,
that's a good question.
I did not look that up. And now, of course, the league hasn't been around as long as she's been coaching. True. So I guess the better question is how many professional women's basketball players she's produced. But like, I mean, obviously in her coaching tree, like players who played under her that are now coaching. I
think you have to include the fact that she's at Stanford, and so they have a higher academic standard than other schools as well. So, I mean,
graduation rate.
Right. So, I mean, it's basically like having an Ivy League team that is one of the most successful programs in the country, and that just doesn't happen very often. Go ahead, Joseph.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. Tara is one of my favorite coaches in the game, just because she, at the end of the day, her teams always are in there. Mm-hmm. And it takes me back to when I was about like, I want to say 16, 17. And I see UConn versus Stanford in the national title game with Tina Charles, Maya Montgomery, Maya Moore, Renee Montgomery against Kayla Peterson, Candace Wiggins, and Jane Appel of Stanford. And the Final Four, actually, at that time. And that was the national championship. Yeah, that was the national championship. But then a lot of the reason why Tara couldn't win more is because she always somehow came across Gino. That was always the case. They always were in the same side of the bracket. And if they were bound to be in the Final Four, it was just, but their battles were so epic. And I remember that year because her Stanford team, Candace Wiggins and them dogged my Maryland Terrapins. Right. I mean, they dog walked them 3-point galore. And Kayla Peterson was one of my favorite players in that game and in that tournament because she had heart. And like at the end of the day, they were the one to stop UConn's streak. They were the ones to put an end to UConn's magnificent streak, and they end up winning the national title eventually a couple years later. But it was such an she's a great coach. She's amazing. I love her, Brenda, Pat, Muffet, all of them. Amazing.
Awesome. Coach Dante, you got anything on Tara?
No, I think everybody pointed it out.
All right. Well, I think that is going to do it for us tonight. Is there anything else that anybody wants to say before we dip off? Or we're good?
Nope. We're good.
I'm just
excited. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all.
Once the end of this LSU South Carolina game, I'm not even going to lie.
All right. Everybody enjoy your evening. Enjoy your basketball evening. Cheers. And we will see y'all back, if not next week, the week after that. Hope y'all have a fabulous week. Thank you.